and the good people in RTE who tried to convince people in this country that our neutrality is something to be ashamed of, that being Irish is backward and has no place in a modern Europe. The truth, of course, is the opposite. The world, Ireland and Europe needs us to keep our neutrality. Now this con in there has been absolutely exposed already, thanks to the efforts of our President and the overplaying of his hand by Micheál Martin in picking such a blatant, one-sided consultation group of experts. Everybody can see through it. We know now that what comes out of this will be discredited. They're not stupid enough to come out and say, we're going to join NATO. But don't think that that doesn't mean that the creep and the road that they're on is not accelerating. They will come out of this con saying stuff like, okay, we won't join NATO. Yes, of course, we'll keep our neutrality, but they will put us further down the road of EU defence integration, and that is not what people in this country want. The first job that they will tackle is to erode the triple lock. And the triple lock, as you know, is the basis upon which we send our troops abroad. It has to have a UN mandate, it has to be supported by the government, and it has to have the backing of the Dáil. And they tell us that this mandate is now no longer fit for purpose. What purpose is it not fit for? The only purpose it's not fit for is sending troops abroad on missions that haven't got a UN mandate. That means stuff like Iraq, like the Sahel, like going into countries that don't want you. Why in God's name would Ireland have anything to do with that? They know. They know that Irish people are too smart for that. That actually we think our taxpayers' money would be better spent on stuff like housing or poverty or tackling climate change or some radical stuff like that, rather than being wasted on arms. They know we won't fall for that, so they come out with this nonsense that the Russians are everywhere. The Russians are disinforming us now. They're pulling all our strings. Their ships are all over the sea. They're cutting all the cables that belong to the private sector. It is nonsense and it is waffle. It's a con by the arms industry to force us to spend money on something we don't need to spend it on. You've all seen through it. We're going to go in there and remind those Egypts in there that they might think they're making a living out of their threat inflation and their security agenda. But the people of Ireland are proud to be Irish, we're proud of our history, and we're certainly not going to give it up. This is the first step on the road. There is a momentum now, because we see the fight being on. So don't go home from this. Go home and build and come back out here in bigger numbers in the days and weeks ahead.
Thanks very much, Claire. Our next speaker is Richard Boyd Barrett for Profit.
Yeah, there's something very Orwellian about the government's behaviour and narrative at the moment, because they repeat endlessly that our neutrality is safe. They have no intention of do anything to threaten our neutrality, and under no circumstances are they going to join NATO. And yet, at the very same time, they have been waging a relentless campaign to involve us in NATO and to completely trash our neutrality. And they have been doing it for years. Most obviously, the war in Iraq allowing 2 million US troops, the major power that dominates NATO, to go through Shannon Airport to prosecute a murderous war in Iraq that claimed the lives of up to 1 million people based on a pack of lies about weapons of mass destruction. And since then, they've involved us with the EU battle groups, EU militarisation with NATO. They've recently withdrawn troops from UN missions in the Middle East in order to free troops up in order to be involved in the battle groups that are associated with NATO. And then you have this a debate today on NATO where there are 3 speakers, one person who is a full-time employee of NATO, another person who is an Irish military commander who's on secondment to NATO, and a third person who's an academic who has a published record of supporting greater Irish involvement with NATO and EU militarisation. And remember, it was only a couple of months ago we had a NATO commander, a US general in Cork, assessing Irish troops for interoperability with NATO. I mean, they must think we're absolute fools. But thankfully, despite this sustained campaign against neutrality, the actuality of them involving us with NATO, every single opinion poll shows that the vast majority of people in this country are not fooled and do not want us involved with NATO or the warmongering powers that dominate it. So we need to build that movement against this assault on our neutrality and fight to restore a neutrality that they are shattering. Now, of course, they use the situation in Ukraine as their excuse, their latest excuse, to escalate the attack on our neutrality. And I think we should be clear, we all condemn the horrific invasion of Ukraine by Russia. But again, it is Orwellian thinking to say our response to one imperialist assault by Russia on Ukraine is that we should get ourselves involved with other imperialist powers who have an equally bloody record of warmongering, whether it's Iraq, whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's Libya, or indeed a Western military alliance that are riddled with the most shocking double standards. That on the one hand they say we must stand up for Ukrainian self-determination, but day in, day out they support, give favoured status to the state of Israel as it wages its brutal campaign against the Palestinian people and denies them even the most basic rights. Or even you see this week, the EU, Ursula von der Leyen, involved in copper-fastening EU support for what is effectively now a dictatorship in Tunisia, brutally crushing the democratic opposition in Tunisia. For people who don't know, every single opposition politician in Tunisia has been jailed by what is now the Said dictatorship. But that doesn't stop the EU from continuing to give them a massive amount of financial support, even though they're a brutal authoritarian dictatorship. So we need to call out these shocking double standards by our government and the EU. They're quick to condemn, and rightly, Putin would say nothing about the other brutal authoritarian regimes, Saudi, the Gulf states, Tunisia, or the apartheid colonial state of Israel. So it's all the more important in that sort of environment of escalating military competition, which is now reaching dangerous levels on a global scale, for Ireland to retain its voice of neutrality. And that is the best safeguard for this country. When they say we need to get rid of the triple lock, involve ourselves with NATO because the Russians are coming. The truth is, the thing that endangers us, makes us vulnerable to involvement in war, is precisely getting involved in military alliances. The best safeguard for this country, and even for our troops abroad on real peacekeeping missions, is for us to remain neutral and to not be involved or associated with warmongering military powers. So well done to you today for coming out, but let's keep up the fight and let's force them to have that referendum to enshrine neutrality fully and Constitution.
Thanks, Richard, and thanks to all the speakers.
No to NATO! No to war! 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 No to NATO! No to NATO! No to war! 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 No to NATO! Ireland is a neutral state.
NATO! No to war! No to 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 NATO! 1, 2, 3, 4! We don't want your bloody wars! 5, 6, 7, 8! Ireland is a neutral state! 1, 2, 3, 4! We don't want your bloody wars! 5, 6, 7, 8! Ireland is a neutral state! 1, 2, 3, 4! We don't want your bloody wars! 5, 6, 7, 8! Ireland is a neutral state!